Okay, so now we're going to talk about directives. So what is a directive? So a directive is an instruction or set of instructions that modify or do something to your HTML code so you can get the desired result, of course. Now, of course, this depends on what you want to do. I know this is confusing, but you will get it in a minute. So in Vue.js, you have two kinds of directives. You have a custom directive and a built-in directive. We're going to discuss most of them. We don't have a lot of built-in directives. Later, we're going to see how to create a custom one, but first, we're going to check the built-in ones. Okay, first I've cleaned everything on the project, and this is what I want to do. I want to output an EMG tag, just an image on the HTML, right, with the source and the alt property. And I want to render the source and the alt from within the app, right? So I'm going to say comma, I'm going to say data. We're going to use the data property, not the app property. So I'm going to say that the data, we have a source, and then of course we get the alt property. So I'm going to say comma, and then we have the alt. All right. Now whenever I render the EMG tag, I want to be passing the values, the source and the alt from the data, right? Makes sense. Now, of course, I don't have an image, so I'm going to go and say lorem ipsum, something like that. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to copy the URL. You can do the same thing. Just going to close it, and I'm going to say, okay, so this is the URL of my image, and the alt, it's another image, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay. Now, let's go to the Vue.js right here to the home. And if you go to learn, you go to the API and you scroll down, you're going to get the title directives. So these are all the directives we get with Vue.js, the default ones, you know, the built-in ones. Okay. So now what I want to do, I want to say, okay, so I have a source and I have an alt property, right? Okay, so far we know that we use the the mustache bars to display the information we have on data. So we can do it right here, and this is going to work. But is it going to work if we put it inside of an attribute of an HTML? Well, we don't know. Let's give it a try. I'm going to say I want to display the source, and on this one I want to display the alt. Right? Makes sense. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go to our application. I'm going to reload it, and we get something. But it's kind of a failing, right? We get not a valid source and not a valid alt. So if I inspect this and go to element, we are getting kind of the string of this. So Vue, it's not converting the source and the alt, you know? And it's because Vue has no way to know that this is not the real location. The alt could be mustache bars and alt. So Vue has no way to know that you want to use the data right here. So we need a way to tell Vue that, dude, this should be dynamic. Go and take care of this. So we use a directive. So the first directive, the most common one, is going to be vbind. So with vbind, we make a connection between the attribute of an HTML and Vue.js. We are saying, okay, Vue, just take care of this source. This one, it's dynamic right now. So how can we use it? We go inside of the attribute. We want to, kind of a link, and we say v, then bind, and then colon. So now Vue.js is going to take care of this source instead of letting the HTML display the raw contents of this one, right? Makes sense. All right. So of course, I'm going to do the same thing with alt right here, and I'm going to reload the application. And now we get nothing, but we get a different error. All right. And this is because we are using the mustache bars. We are already linking this to Vue.js. So there's no need to use the mustache. Vue.js knows that we need to take care of this. So there's no need to use the mustache. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to reload it. And now we get the image. And even the alt, it's correct. Alt, another image. So everything works. So, of course, this is the most common example. Another example would be a link, right? That actually makes more sense. I'm going to say href, open and close. And, we have a link. Maybe go to Google, doesn't matter. And I'm going to add right here link and, HTTP, then colon / google.com. Doesn't matter. It could be whatever link. Okay. So now I need to say that I want to use the link. And of course you can type it right here, but we can say just link and do the v bind, and this is going to work. If not, of course, it's not going to work. I'm going to reload it. And if I go to Google, we go to Google. All right. So like I told before, let me just go back. Like I told before, we have a lot of directives. We're going to take a look and discuss most of them right now. All right, so let's add a couple more. We have v text. All right, so I'm going to make a horizontal ruler right here. And same thing, just to space things a little bit. What I want to do, really simple. I want to display a p tag, and I want to display the contents right here. Of course, you could do it. You could do something like that, add the data and that's it. But again, we are doing everything through directives, so we can do it. So what we can do, we can say v, then text, and it's equal to something. So if, of course, I add something right here, let me just maybe my text. Yeah, my text sounds like a good attribute. That's okay. So hello guys, same than before. So now on the b text, I'm gonna say my text. So now we make a reference. We link this to view, and view is gonna put inside of the p tag whatever you have inside the data, my text, right? So if I reload the application, we get hello guys. Very, very simple. I'm not gonna expand this. So we have another one, and of course everything is on the documentation. You have the v text right here. It's the most easiest one. Now another example that could be very useful. I'm gonna say horizontal ruler, and what I want to do, I want to add maybe a div or maybe a paragraph or whatever. And inside of there, I want to add an HTML content, right? So I'm going to say div open and close. Let me make it right. Div open and close. And inside of the div, I want to add this. I want to add strong open and close and say, I don't know, Francis Jones. Doesn't matter. So of course, if I reload the application, we get a new div with Francis Jones. But the point of this is that I want to add this whole HTML, not just the value, through data. All right, so let me just copy and go right here and say my HTML, and then, paste it inside with the strong. Now, if I take this approach, the text, and then link it to my HTML, of course, we're going to get this result, but this is going to be converted to a string because it is a string. It's not HTML. So we will see the strong tags. So how can we let the application know that we want to, convert to HTML? We want to display HTML content with the directive v-HTML. Real simple. So reload the application and we get Francis Jones, right? Again, everything is on the documentation, v-HTML, all right. So we have a couple more before we go to some other ones, be if, else, and those ones. But again, these ones are really specific. These ones are not that hard. The other ones, they take a little bit more logic. So let's go to the next one and discuss the other directives.